You should probably know that I have a really dark and unpredictable side to me.
Stop speaking.
I'm giving you a chance, sweetie.
Say when.
When?
Hello, this is Simon from Film Stories, and here I want to talk about Venom: The Last Dance, the third and apparently final movie in the Venom movie trilogy. So, Tom Hardy is back in the film as Eddie Brock / Venom. It's written and directed by Kelly Marcel. Marcel making her feature directorial debut with the movie. And all right, so let's get into it. I mean, where were we? 2018's Venom was arguably the film that turned Tom Hardy from an acclaimed actor into a full-on movie star, really. 2021's sequel, Venom: Let There Be Carnage, was a monstrous box office hit at a point after lockdowns were coming to an end where monstrous box office hits were on the rare side. Cinemas really needed one. At that point, Venom turned up. Also, that second Venom film left narrative threads behind for an already promised third chapter. And that brings us to now, Venom: The Last Dance, already teased as a trilogy closing comic book movie. And as such, there's an expectation that homework would be required to keep on top of what's happened in the Venom film so far. Now, homework, I mean, it's become a necessity, really, hasn't it, for going to see a comic book movie that happens to have a Marvel logo at the start. This isn't a Marvel film per se. It's Sony's in association with Marvel, but Sony is the creative driving company behind it. However, when Venom: The Last Dance opens by throwing lots of effects at us and an imprisoned creature, some crunchy audio and things like that, I thought it's pretty much starting to follow the Marvel template fairly swiftly. In fact, at one point, that mysterious figure, I won't spoil, snarls, "I will reward you with your lives," while also paradoxically saying that their intention is to destroy every single planet. And I scribbled down afterwards, just like, well, what's the point of having your life spared if all the planets are gone? Anyway, let's not get pedantic. Because if you cut forward an hour into the film, you're getting something really quite different from what that initial setup promised. You're getting a road movie. I didn't see this coming. I don't watch trailers as a rule, so I don't tend to know what I'm getting when I sit in front of a cinema screen. And what it turns out is that writer-director Kelly Marcel, fashioning the story with Tom Hardy, seems as determined to show us what else a third film in a superhero franchise can be, certainly as I was interested in watching what that could be. You could call it symbiotic. Anyway, I mean, early on, Tom Hardy snarls the line, "I'm done with this multiverse shit." And I mean, I sat up in my chair. I was just like, and I did reflect. The film Deadpool and Wolverine, which I had problems with, would have got 10 minutes out of that. In the case of Venom 3, it makes its point, it moves on. And I have to say that economy throughout the Venom films has been a very welcome feature of the trilogy. So once we're past that prologue of impending threat, what we're left with is Tom Hardy drunk and in a bar, and he watches one of those info drop news reports that nobody in a bar ever watches. But still, what Kelly Marcel, the writer, seems to have plot for is the idea of, let's throw in occasional moments where characters talk in plot development, because that way we can bring the running time down. Now, it's a trade-off, but it's a trade-off I'm on board with. And she does walk a line between filling in bits we need to know from before, hello, Stephen Graham, and getting to the guts of what this film itself actually is. I think she does that pretty well. Because beyond the big bad universe ending stuff, there are two other narratives that are interweaving throughout Venom: The Last Dance. The least interesting, but still perfectly serviceable, is Chiwetel Ejiofor's General Strickland, named after Back to the Future, who knows, on a mission to track down Tom Hardy's Eddie Brock Venom. And at one stage, we get, for instance, a really well done underwater chase sequence that's sort of muddied and blurred by CG things throwing in the midst of it. When it's a straight underwater chase sequence, I was just like, oh, this is good. This is all right. You also get Juno Temple coming in to sit in this bit of the film as Dr. Teddy Payne. And she brings welcome unease, really, to what's a pretty predictable role. You don't have to be Confucius to sort of see where it's going to end up. But by far the best chunk of Venom: The Last Dance is when Eddie Brock / Venom take to the road. And this bit, save for the computer graphicsy bits that splice in, could have been a low-budget adventure in its own right. I mean, do you remember when Fox did the New Mutants and was trying to see if it could make a cheaper X-Men film and see where that goes? There was a little element of that, I thought, in this Venom film. There's just a sliver of indie spirit to that bit of the film. And what struck me as the movie went on is the duality of the character at the heart of it, that if you don't know the Venom backstory, I won't go into great detail, but you basically get the Eddie Brock side of the character and the symbiote. You get the Venom side of the character all in the same body. You don't get Tom Hardy putting in a performance on the level of someone like Steve Martin in All of Me, but it's good stuff. And also what you get is a duality of stakes within the same character, because from Eddie Brock's point of view, all he wants to do is avoid being framed by the feds for a crime that he's not done. Well, he's just determined not to be caught. Venom, meanwhile, doesn't want the entire universe to die. So the first set of stakes is, oddly enough, far more relatable and a bit more down to earth than the second, but you get both ingredients in the melting pot. So then, I mean, let me just talk about that road movie, because again, spoiler alert, it veers off into really quite unexpected places. I mean, and also it offers for me the best moments of the entire trilogy. I've always been a bit happy to watch a Venom film, but, you know, solid 3-star stuff. But that notwithstanding, I mean, it's quite hard in the aftermath of them to think of too many moments that have popped. There are quite a few popped in this film, to be fair. Rhys Ifans, unrelated to previous Spider-Man appearances, from what I can work out, pops up, for instance, as an alien obsessive called Martin. And there's a bit where he just leads this unexpected and really delightful sing-along that brings in 2 children and a dog. There's a moment I can't really describe involving a horse. Yeah. We take a trip to Vegas as part of the road trip, where someone then pisses on Tom Hardy's shoes. Doesn't take it particularly well. A dance sequence just comes out of nowhere to a popular song. Again, I ain't telling you what it is. We're just treated to snappy one-liners that you get Tom Hardy delivering to Tom Hardy, and Tom Hardy's good at this, seems to be having fun doing it, and as a leading man performer in a blockbuster movie, he holds the screen. So, I mean, it's almost a shame then, well, it is a shame that it has to come back together for the more traditional trilogy closing stuff as we head into the final act. And so the last 15 minutes, it's just another one of those, let's throw it all in, whack it all in. And, you know, it drives slap bang through the gates of convention, where previously the film to that point had demonstrated a sort of underlying determination to steer where we didn't expect it to go. By the ending, straight through the door. And, you know, it's big, it's loud, it's mad, but it's computer graphics fighting computer graphics. And as much as Kelly Marcel moves it along, couldn't help but want that road movie back. That was a lot more fun. That I got the road movie in the first place, I think that's no small feat in the middle of a huge, expensive blockbuster film. What is it, 120 million to make? Not the most expensive, but still more money than I've got. I mean, look at all that stuff. I mean, that's what I'm working with. And so, I mean, you get to this point where it feels borderline incredible, really, that even with a narrative arc of 3 films to tie up, the credits then start rolling when we're not even at the 100-minute mark. And not because this wasn't a case where it feels like it's been hacked to death in the editing room, or the suits have come in and said, don't do that, don't do that, don't do that. It just feels like there was a target that this is its organic length. It didn't need to go on for 2-3 hours and hit us with, hit us with loads of backstory and lore and callbacks and stuff. it kind of is happy to be what it is. And, it's a trilogy ender that's under 2 hours long. It's got comic book stuff to explain. It's still under 2 hours long. This can be done. And in fact, if you sit through the approximately 16 minutes of credits, I mean, you'll get two things. You'll get an appreciation of how many people it takes to make a film like this. That's great. You get a bit of extra footage as well. But what I walked away from the movie more interested in was the surprising boldness of the middle section and a gratification that someone took a swing. The opening, where it's all like effectsy and sinewy and stuff, it's just like, all right. The bits where the I suppose the world domination, universe destroying stuff came in, yeah, all right. The ending, the last section, big, yeah, smash, yeah, all right. But in the midst of it, in all of that coating, someone took a swing. Didn't all hit, but I'm gratified they took it, and I enjoyed it. I mean, I'd been reasonably entertained, so much so that I hit the mic again by the two Venom films to this point, but I've not really gone back to them. I mean, they are what they are. The Last Dance, though, while fighting its own duality of what it's trying to do, is comfortably my favourite of the trilogy. Do you know what? It is one I might be tempted to go back to. Might just skip the start and the end. Comfortable 3 stars for me, and a nice surprise.